Hey, welcome back to setting up a tournament for the Arizona Style. Smash those like and subscribe buttons to keep these videos coming as we try to get through an entire tournament. Setting up an event, once you've set up the judges, then you can start setting up the events. And I keep trying to keep this video short so that it'll upload to YouTube. So we're just going to look through these settings. If I wanted to add an event, I could click Add New Event, and then I could say something like Impromptu. And we've got Imp, $6 entry fee, 1 competitor per entry. And I really think I want to just clone the settings of Extemp. It's an individual event. We know that in Arizona we use school code and entry name for our entry codes. We know that it is a speech event, and we know that it's going to be varsity. If I wanted to put a description on the website, I could enter that here. I click Save, and then I get an option for NSDA points, and I can link that to Impromptu. Now, because I've gone through and cloned Extemp, under the registration tab, I don't need to worry about these deadlines. These are if you have different due dates or drop dates for this event than the rest of the tournament. Do I want double entry within the event? No, I don't want people to be able to do 2 impromptus. Do I want a per school cap? Yep, we're going to do 6. And that opens up some waitlist options that we really don't need to deal with unless your tournament is planning on opening waitlists. Hide entry codes at registration. We don't really need to worry about the entry code as much because we're just going to use school name and competitor name. If this was a speech piece, then we'd want the piece title and the piece author, depending on how much bibliography info you might want. If it's a speech topic, like oratory or informative, you'd ask for the speech topic at registration. And the rest of these settings don't really matter to us. For the online tab, it's going to be an online event. We don't want to show the URLs publicly because we don't want room crashers. If it's a speech event and you're going to do asynchronous, you'd click there. And if it's going to be synchronous, like Extemp and Impromptu, then you'd click here. Hybrid tournaments, I'm not 100% sure how those are handled yet. I'm sure we'll get more information as we get closer to actual tournaments. For speech, we have sectioning, and a lot of this doesn't really matter. We want to list entries by, well, the code, which is going to be the school code and the name. We want default sections of 7, between 5 and 7. Don't worry about double entries speaking early. There are so many double entries that it would just mess with the schematics. We don't want judges to judge their own school. We don't want repeat judging. We don't want repeat judging in elims. And these publishing options don't really impact us very much. So we can save those settings. Then in tabulation, because we're going to do an online event, we don't need to worry about auditing and anything like that. Instead, we can just look at how are the judges going to input these online ballots. We want whole points. We don't want them to be able to manipulate points and ranks. We don't want tied speech points. We don't want rank ties. We don't want to autofill blank ballot or blank ranks because then that just encourages the judges to enter blank ranks instead of properly calling them a no-show. And our speaker points are 20 to 50 in speech. And then we click the online ballot option, and we've got 20 to 50. And we want to have comments. So we want 25 words at least for each competitor to avoid the great piece, tough round, 6. And so we've got our tabbing settings. Ballot and rules for speech. this is where you would put the event description and the language from the paper speech ballot, as well as any sort of implicit bias statement that you want to have. If we were to go into a debate event, then very similar. With debate events, once you enter the event type and the entry level, you can also choose the topic, and in this case we want the NSDA Public Forum September-October topic. Registration looks the same. We want a per school cap of 6. We can save those registration settings. Online, it's an online event with synchronous pre-created room URLs. Now for debate, our preset seating is random. We don't have any particular methodology. It's random, like we're shuffling index cards and laying them out on the table. For PF, we'd want to flip for sides in each round. We would like, we don't want hybrid teams. For powering, we want seeds only. The NSDA has created the seed plus opponent seed method, but we're going to keep it simple. Maybe you don't want to put large schools on the same side. If you've got a smaller tournament, that might be helpful, although it's PF, so we flip anyway. And then we'll pull up the worst seed from the bracket, use the same rooms from round to round. Most of these options don't apply to us. We do want to allow repeat judging in elims, because otherwise we probably wouldn't be able to get a panel. And for tabulation, half points, we don't want to confuse people with just random decimals. We will allow tied speaker points in debate, and we have a 20 to 30 point range with the online ballots. A decision deadline is how long after the round has started does the judge have to make a decision before they start getting little nasty messages. And an hour is probably a pretty good time frame for that. And we do want a minimum word count on the RFD to avoid oral critique. Now with debate, there is an option for online coin flips. This is still a bit buggy. If you have online coin flips, the competitors can log in, flip a virtual coin, and then the winner could choose the side or the order, and you can adjust the ballot that way. The flip deadline is you post, they have 10 minutes to log in. After 15 minutes, it'll just auto flip for them, and then they'll have to choose points or side or order. And if you have a second flight, you'd have a separate flip there. And then we don't do speaker awards. For the ballot, well, we'd want a pro and a con for the affirmative and negative designation. And notice the NSDA topic is already auto-filled here. So we want to make sure we save the messages. And here's where we'd put any implicit bias information or any other wording that you might want. And for a Congress event, front page is the same, NSDA points, Congress. Make sure that when you're going through, you're putting the correct judge category in there. For example, with impromptu, again, we want to have individual events, and for PF, we want to have public forum, because otherwise you're going to get random judges in your pool. And with Congress registration, we also have ask for PO self-nominations. Don't worry about that. That isn't quite what we do. Same deal with the online events. Congress offers you the chance to upload your legislation on Tabroom. This is a great function. You can even say it has to be within these categories, although that's not something Arizona does. We tend to have a 2 bill per school limit, and then you can upload the templates from speechanddebate.org or congressionaldebate.org, and you can tell the tournament no PDFs, no formats that involve tables or anything like that that make it difficult to create the docket from. And having this legislation here is just such a benefit to you. Chambers, the same as pairing or sectioning. Use same rooms. We want chamber sizes of 12 when we're online because that's how NSDA campus, that's about their bandwidth limit. Limit a school to this number of sections. So I said we're going to have 60 congressional debate competitors max at this tournament, which is 5 sections. I want a school limited to 60%, so they'll be in 3 out of 5. The computer will auto-section that for me, and that way I have 2 sections where a judge from a school could judge. And then judges may judge their own school. We don't want that. Repeat judging in elims. If you're going to have a Congress tournament with a final round, you might as well, even if you're not going to put them in deliberately. And for tabulation, we do want tied points with Congress because you have between 1 and 6. We do not want rank ties. We want to autofill those blank ranks with 9. We want the parley to be forbidden from blank or tie ranks. We want to limit scorer ballots to this auto rank of 9, so they can only rank 1 through 8. And the computer will chirp at them if they try to rank down to all 12. It just looks better on the final score sheet. We want 1 parley ballot in prelims, and then 1 to 6 points, and we don't worry about output. For the ballot, again, here's where you'd put the text that you want the judge to be able to see. Here also is seating chart and placard information. That's not going to apply to us while we're in a virtual realm. So that's how you'd go through and the settings that you'd work through for the events. Next time we're going to take a look at patterns and double entries and how we would create our patterning in order to make sure that students can double enter and judges can enter multiple types of judging. See you next time.